Good morning, everyone. I am Carol Williams with Williams Immigration, and we are here for another Monday morning edition of Beyond the Soundbite, where we talk about all things U.S. immigration. So, I like to dive right in. So, I've never done this before, but the theme for this morning is delay. Delay in all things U.S. immigration, and what can we do about it? What's happening as a result of delays? So, the theme this morning is delays. So the first thing I want to talk about are H4 and L2 dependents. So there was a lawsuit. We have talked about it before. And then as a result of that, USCIS decided that they would process H4 and L2 applications if they were bundled together or filed in the same package with the principal H1B or L1A applications. So essentially, you needed the H1B and the H4 or the L1 and the L2 packaged in the same application, and then USCIS said that they would process them together. So that's sort of kind of happening, but sort of kind of not. And the delays on the dependent H4 and L2s are in some cases significant. The principals get their applications, they are approved, and the dependents are left waiting. So hopefully we will see that change, but right now that's what I'm currently seeing in my practice, and it has some real world consequences that I wanted to let y'all know about. Driver's license renewal can be delayed for these dependents. Health insurance sometimes can be suspended because on the face of it, it looks like your I-94 card says that you have expired. So it can just be difficult daily life when these delays are happening. But we know in the immigration world that if it was timely filed, then this person is still in status. So that has been hard for some folks out there, for our dependent out there. So I'm hoping that USCIS will start really processing these together and have some sort of internal system where they can see that the principal has been processed and they would then process the dependent at the same time or shortly thereafter. But we are seeing delays in the dependent applications being processed. Oftentimes the principal is approved first, and then we're just left waiting for the dependent application to be approved. So delay number one this morning. Delay number two. But this delay, USCIS has actually recognized, and they've done something about it again. So employment authorization documents, or EAD cards, again, are backlogged and taking quite a while to process through the Immigration Service. So instead of them now being automatically extended for 180 days, recently USCIS has increased the 180 days to now 540 days from the expiration date on the current EAD. So there is good news on that delay. So that makes it easier for people to remain work authorized, which is always the goal. So your EADs will now have 540 days of automatic extension from the expiration date on their EADs, and that is principally because there is a delay with USCIS processing the EAD applications. So delay number 3 this morning that I want to talk to y'all about is the pilot visa renewal program. We simply used to call it visa revalidation way back in the day. And that was a pilot program that USCIS just ended at the beginning of this month. And it was for H-1Bs only to renew or extend their visas through the Department of State by sending their packet of information, including their passport, into the Department of State without ever having to go home. For some folks, that's a very long trip home in order to apply at a consulate. This was done because, yes, magical word, delays were happening at U.S. consulates overseas and were really impacting businesses because their employees were having to leave for sometimes up to a month just to get a new visa in their passport. So they came up with a domestic visa renewal pilot program. They ran that for a little bit. That ended at the beginning of this month. They wanted comments. Those comments were due as of April 15th. So now Department of State will review comments from external as well as internal stakeholders, so government stakeholders as well as private stakeholders. And one, see if they even want to continue the program. And if they do want to continue it, what sort of tweaks or changes do they want to make? So I would hope they would continue the program because it is a benefit for not only employers, but also the employees. I would hope that they include dependents of the H-1Bs to be able to take advantage of this program. And I hope that they expand it past H-1Bs, as well as expand it past the limited number of countries that they used as part of the pilot program. Taking the visa renewal process, taking a piece of that out of the consulate, opened up more space, opened up more appointments for people going to the consulate who needed to go to the consulate. So it all, hopefully their numbers bear out that it helped with the delays at the consulate, and that we will see this program instituted on a somewhat permanent basis, hopefully in an expanded type of way. So we'll see. I will keep you updated on that. More delays, medicals for green cards. So we all know right now, green cards are taking quite some time, several years in some cases, in many cases, several years. Well, the medical, that exam and report that has to be a part of that application used to have, notice I said used to have an expiration date. And so some individuals were having to send in another medical. So CIS said, okay, you don't need to send the medical in when you do your initial filing. That's great. We'll kind of work through our delay on our end that way so that you're not penalized. So we started doing that, and then that was okay. But it really kind of slowed down the process towards the end. Then they said, okay, we're going to extend the amount of time that the medical is valid. We'll make it valid for 2 years instead of 1 year. And so for a little while that worked too. So now we're at the point where that's not really working for those individuals that choose to submit their medical in the beginning with all of their documentation. So now, in order to help CIS work through this delay on the front and the back end of the green card process, any medical that is signed by the civil surgeon on or after November 1 of last year, 2023, is now valid indefinitely. So if your medical was signed on or before November 1st, 2023, it no longer expires. So that should hopefully cut down on the number of medical report related RFEs, because a lot of us were not filing the medicals for the green card application with the initial filing because we knew it was going to expire. So this is a great way, I think, to kind of work through the medical report delay issue. And the last piece of the whole delay theme for this morning that I want to talk about is the biometric rescheduling tool. So in June of last year, USCIS launched a system through the My USCIS account. So you have to have an online My USCIS account. So they launched this program through that My USCIS account where you can request to reschedule your biometric appointment online. So that saves you having to call the 1-800 number, stay on hold forever, maybe get it rescheduled. You're not quite sure if it got rescheduled until you got the notice in the mail. So that process can now be handled through your My USCIS account, assuming that you have one. If you don't, you can certainly start one. And so now it's been going on for less than a year, but now USCIS is asking for comments and your thoughts on that. So those comments are due by June 11. If you have comments or thoughts or suggestions on how that program is working, not working, could work better, let them know. Those comments are reviewed. As someone that used to work at USCIS and looked at comments that came in from stakeholders, those comments are reviewed and they are taken seriously. So that will hopefully help with the delay in getting your biometric appointments rescheduled, and helps with the delay of having to sit on the phone and waiting for a while to have that done. So that is really all I wanted to talk about this morning. Sad that my theme is delay, but it is what it is. Things with the Immigration Service right now are pretty, there's lots of delay happening. So we're just kind of sorting through that. But I wanted y'all to know what those delays were, what some of the tweaks and fixes were to help us work through those delays. And then if you have any questions about your immigration case, you are looking to hire someone, and you're just not quite sure what to do next. If that person is a non-US citizen, feel free to give my office a call. We're happy to schedule a consultation with you and kind of help you through that process. But that is all I have this Monday morning. So have a great rest of your Monday morning and a great rest of your week. Bye, everybody.